I've investigated a lot of these homegrown jihad plots here on American soil over the past 10 years. I've been in the mosques, I've interviewed the imams, I've been at the homes of these people who've been rolled up, arrested in cells, in plots here on U.S. soil. There's one name that's at the middle of all these plots, and his name is Anwar Al-Awlaki. It's a tongue twister, but it's a name you should remember. This is a guy in a post-Osama bin Laden world who you really, really need to keep an eye on, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, he's young. He's only 40 years old. He's charismatic, wildly charismatic. Number two, he was born here in America. Born in New Mexico, educated at Colorado State University, lived here for half of his life. For 20 of his 40 years, he lived in America. He's one of us. He's fluent in English. He knows us like the back of his hand because he lived here. He was amongst us for half of his life, and he breaks down that language barrier. That can't be underestimated. You have Osama bin Laden who's speaking in Arabic and needs subtitles and isn't a terribly charismatic speaker. Neither are the likely successors, Ayman al-Zawahiri, all these guys. They're pretty blah, they rant, and they have subtitles. If you're a young English-speaking American kid who, you're a Muslim, you're a Pakistani kid in Brooklyn, you've never been to Pakistan, you don't know Arabic, you were raised here, but you're intrigued by this movement, you kind of shrug your shoulders and say, okay. But this Anwar Al-Awlaki, now this is a guy we can get interested in. He's very charismatic. He speaks English. He is talking directly to me. He has lived my experience as a young American Muslim. I can really relate to him. And I can tell you, in investigating these cases, it's not posters of Osama bin Laden on these kids' walls. It's the CDs and DVDs of Anwar Al-Awlaki that is inspiring these young kids now. I got a great example for you, and I recount it in the book, and I think it's going to shock a lot of people. Last June, actually it was last May, about a year ago, went into a store not far from here in Falls Church, Virginia, which is a beautiful place, nice suburb, just what, about 10 minutes from the White House? It's the largest Islamic supermarket in the Washington, D.C. area. It's called Halalco. Now, it's part supermarket selling, pita bread, hummus, all that good stuff. And the other half of the store is a bookstore. It's the largest Islamic bookstore around, and it's got copious amounts of books on the shelves, CDs, DVDs, Muslim garb, everything. So, I'd heard from some sources that they were selling some pretty radical materials. So, went into the store to investigate with a hidden camera and found your standard protocols of the elders of Zion, your standard vicious anti-Semitic tracts, found a lot of Muslim Brotherhood literature. That's a group I'll talk about in a second, which is not a good thing. But then, unbelievable the timing. This was one day after our friend Anwar Al-Awlaki released a videotape calling for the killing of U.S. civilians. Women, children, kill him. From his lair in Yemen. That's where he's based now. He's hiding out. Releases this videotape calling for the killing of American civilians. Went into this store one day after that tape was released, and everyone's talking about Awlaki. Hey, this guy is the guy now. He's a big deal. He's a big threat. What do I see when I walk in the store but a display, probably about this high, dozens and dozens and dozens of CDs and DVDs by Anwar Al-Awlaki. Wow. Dozens. Huge display devoted entirely to Anwar Al-Awlaki. This is the equivalent during World War II of walking into, say, a German restaurant and having a display of the speeches of Adolf Hitler or Joseph Goebbels. I don't think that would have gone too well during World War II. And it shouldn't go too well today to have an al-Qaeda terrorist who's called for you might as well have the sermons of Osama bin Laden on sale. So I confronted the store's owner. He took them down, so we got a small victory there. I recount it in the book. A very interesting encounter. But he said something that really stuck with me. I said, why did you have... You knew this was a guy, Awlaki. He just released a tape yesterday, first of all. But this is a guy who was the mastermind behind Fort Hood, in contact with the underwear bomber last Christmas Day, inspired the Times Square bomber last year. Why would you sell his tracts? 10 minutes from the White House, mind you. He said, my friend, they're very good sellers. So you have a situation where an al-Qaeda terrorist's sermons are flying off the shelves 10 minutes from the White House. We have a problem, and it's a big problem.